Chapter 6 continued. Nature of the mind and intellect of a yogi. After listening so far, King Varinya did namaskar to the Lord and said, "What is the nature of the mind and intellect of a yogi after he has attained the psychic powers of yoga? This you have narrated to me, but only when all that is assimilated can one understand it. Outwardly, it may look as if he has understood through some indications, but for an ordinary ignorant person, it is difficult to identify such a yogi and then be of service to him. Besides, after having served him, how does he follow him? Therefore, please be kind enough to explain some of the external traits of a yogi so that the condition of his mind and intellect may be more understandable." Listening to the prayer of King Varinya, Sri Gajanan Prabhu begins his reply in verse 54. Vitrishna sarva saukeshu nodvigno dukkha sangame gata sadva sarudraga sthira buddhistadochate. So in verse 54, the external characteristics of a conscious yogi can be described by using the subtle traits of discrimination. Listen to it. Since they are far too subtle, it is beyond comprehension of an ordinary ignorant man. But still, if one endeavors to look at it with subtle vision, then it definitely can be understood. The Mahayogi Jadabharat, who was born in a Brahmin lineage, behaved in a different manner. His other 9 brothers were great scholars of the Shastras and very disciplined in their rituals. But Jadabharat Yogi behaved differently, which the others could not understand. Therefore, they considered him a fool. If we think in reality, it is difficult even for yogis to examine a yogi, still it is possible to understand his importance. I shall describe such characteristics to you. Listen to them. The first and the most important is Sarva Saukeshu Vitrishna, meaning there is no thirst. That is, there is not the slightest of desires, not even the smallest ones for a yogi. How does one know that this is so? If you go to serve a yogi, they will accept only to some extent. They will accept nothing more. They will expect nothing more. Similarly, in response to your service, they will not have any worry or concern about it. Then one might ask, where will the feeling of gratitude come from? Again, by being of service to him. If one were to ask him the different kinds of enjoyments of the world, or else if one were to pray to them to destroy all bondage to poverty, then also one will not get anything from him. But if one were to expect something on the path of knowledge, then of course one will definitely stand to gain. Having faced several dangers or tired of facing worldly sorrows, if a servant were to die, then also a yogi would not feel anything for him. If one were to look at their indifference and feeling dejected, one were to stop being of service to him, and then too he will not feel anything. If one sees these traits in a person, then such a yogi is beyond any thirst. Understand its significance. However, if one serves him, then he would definitely get the benefit of being of service to him. It is me, dear Atma, Ganaraja Prabhu, who gives to them. In this way, one should understand the subtle characteristic of absence of thirst of a yogi as described above. Then he describes the second characteristic as Dukkha Sangame Nodvigna. If anyone abuses him, or however much sorrow one pelts upon him, still he will not develop any sense of hatred towards that person. This is because if he had the thirst, then greed and jealousy would develop. But if there is no thirst, then obviously there will be no changes in him whatsoever. Considering all the heavenly enjoyments obtained by him earlier, however great a suffering may befall on him, still no upsurge arises in him. He is determined that the suffering of destiny has to be gone through. Therefore, he endures them. However, he doesn't put aside his yogic state of mind. Even though others may cause him to suffer in various ways, he still feels no sense of hatred towards them. All souls are dependent on others, and it is due to the results of my own previous karmas that they are encouraged to cause sorrow to me. What is their fault in that? Thinking in this manner, the yogi does not cause grievance to anybody. He does not expect harmonious service from them either. However big a blow falls on him, his regular disposition of Swaswanan does not leave him. If the journey of life is tough according to the destiny of the body, or if someone causes him sorrow, then he looks as if he is in sorrow. Or if someone brings happiness to him, then also he looks happy. But there is no effect of these on his mind and heart. He does not feel that he should curse or grant a boon to anyone. This is my answer to the question, how does one recognize an accomplished conscious yogi who is of steadfast mind? Hearing that, King Varanya asked a question. What are the traits of a yogi who has accomplished the superconscious meditative union? How should the behavior of a yoga seeker be till he has attained the psychic powers of that state? Please tell me about this also, because the condition of a seeker of Yoga Bhumi is very difficult. Even though one may obtain knowledge of the unseen while traveling on the path of karma, the main disposition may go away, but it is most likely that one might get entangled in the enchantments of dualities. Therefore, please tell us the yogic spiritual path by which one is able to accomplish Yoga Bhumi in an easy manner. This is the sentiment of expectations expressed in the beginning of verse 55. Yatha ayam kamatogan sankochayati sarvatah vishayebhyastata khani sankarshed yoga tatparaha. Shri Gajanana says, even though the knowledge of yoga may have arisen and the yogi is firmly determined to accomplish it, still the mind which has become foolish due to previous habits and behavior cannot suddenly become capable of discrimination. That is why earlier there has been a description of the role of dullness, disinterestedness, etc., and instructions for spiritual practice for alleviating them were given. Listen to the order of their practice that I am going to now narrate to you. Firstly, when the performance of karmas with an attitude of surrender to Brahma has begun, the mind gets purified and begins to develop a liking for attaining liberation. Then he starts engaging in various austerities for attaining it. As a result, there is no interest in material enjoyments whatsoever. In this manner, the mind and heart of the seeker gets purified. When he keeps giving up all material objects, his desire for enjoyment gets burnt away and subtle thoughts arising from divine vision gets created. As a result, the perishability of the body and other things starts arising continuously, because of which the strength of sacrifice also begins to slow down little by little. To ingrain the sense of sacrifice, one has to assume a state of ignorance and dullness. This is what has been advised and indicated in the following verses. Just as a tortoise gathers all its limbs together under its belly, so also a yoga seeker should do the yogic spiritual practice with full efforts. That is to say, that he remains lying in one place. He does not stand or sit properly. Even if a snake or a scorpion comes and bites him, or there is fire that may burn him down, he bears everything and makes no effort to come out of the idleness or inert state that he has accepted. This is because he has come to a foregone conclusion in his mind that all the joys and sorrows of the body are under the control of destiny, which is bound to happen. All that is connected to destiny are bound to come to you. One should not make any effort whatsoever. If one takes up such a stand, then no desire for material objects will ever arise. As per the earlier study and practice, the taste for it in one's mind will also automatically melt away. If, as per one's destiny, someone feeds you, then you should eat. If someone gives you water, then you should drink it. If not, one should remain content. If one has to die as a result of this, then too he should not leave the inertia. One should rest like a staff of wood. This solution is indicated in the verse, When one is not able to gather himself together, even through discrimination, then also one should hold on to this inertia of idleness. This solution is only the first step. When the tendencies of the mind are sorted through strict study and practice, then he begins to desire the joy of Swananda. When the experience of this spiritual practice of the state of grossness becomes completely digested, then he becomes deserving of attaining the actualization of Annabrahma. This is because then the gross body, that's a means of enjoyment of the awakened state, is entirely covered and capable of encompassing the whole world. Along with that, the universe, which is like a small atom, also attains completeness. This means that the non-divisiveness of the world, which is gross in nature, becomes eligible for actualization of the experience of Annabrahma. So much has been instructed about the role of a seeker by the verse beginning with Yatharth. This is the nature of the first characteristic, namely the gross nature. Its result is up to the actualization of Annabrahma. This is the beginning of the eightfold types of superconscious meditative union, and for its completion, he is required to take the support of other substances such as intoxication, ghosts, joy, etc. This is the mysterious instruction given through this verse.